Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Before I get started, I want to say, if you have not seen my previous video, go back and look at it just for the comments, if nothing else, because you guys lit it up. And those were by far the best comments I've ever gotten on here, and I've probably ever seen on one of these videos. There's several names to mention, but just for example, go and look at Alaska's comment. Oh my gosh. You guys have got to go and check that out. It was awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback and encouraging everybody else in the community. By the way, that last video was about how the narcissist will get worse. Basically, the worst was yet to come with the narcissist. So check that one out, or search it on my site if you're doing this down the road. Today, I am going to do a request video that was very interesting, and I'm also was planning on doing something with it soon anyway. So the request was about, Brian, can you talk about the narcissist triangulation and maybe some obscure things they do? So we're going to get into it. So this is called the narcissist's strange triangulation patterns. I have 8 of them, and you're definitely going to want to stick around for the last couple because it's juicy. So we'll start with this. What is triangulation? If you don't know, triangulation means you are bringing somebody else into the situation. So primarily, this is going to be primarily a romantic relationship video, okay? So heads up. But that basically would mean you are with somebody and they are going to bring others into the mix of the relationship in some way, shape, or form to disrupt you, to invoke jealousy, to make you envious, to make you question yourself, doubt yourself, belittle you. Triangulation does a host of horrors, okay? But that's basically what triangulation is. And so I'm going to go through 8 ways that they do this to you, starting with this. Number 1, common. They will bring up old exes. They will bring up old dates. They will bring up past compliments. They will bring up all manner of past stories of what they did with other people to invoke jealousy in you. So you better believe, and you guys can attest, the narcissist talks about their exes all the time. And it's usually not just one. I mean, if you're the new person and their most recent relationship had blown up, you're going to hear about them probably the most, but you're going to have a whole host of other people to deal with. So they're going to bring up old exes. You're going to get so sick of it. And this is done, uh, yeah, in a normal relationship, a healthy relationship, you might talk about your exes to some degree as background, as backstory, but you're not bringing these people up regularly, saying, "Oh, my ex and I always used to do this, and we always used to do that, and here's what they liked." And that's not what you do in a healthy relationship. For the narcissist, man, that's just everyday common stuff. You're going to get so tired of hearing about their exes, and it will make you furiously jealous. That's just the point. Old dates. We used to go here, and I remember when he took me to this event, and this guy was dating then. We used to go to this coffee shop, and we used to go to this place and that place. And so old dates are going to come up a lot. They're going to talk about old compliments too. Maybe you gave them a nice compliment, at least you thought it was nice, and they're going to say, "Oh, that's what this person used to tell me. I always loved getting that compliment. That's what this guy I dated used to say, or this what this woman I dated used to say." Makes you feel this big, right? I'm not going to give you another compliment. That's what it makes you feel like. And then, of course, just all manner of old stories about what they used to do, especially these people were sick. You're especially even going to get unwanted information about what they used to do in a sexual way with other people and that you didn't want to know. And you didn't, I'll just leave it at that. Okay? So that's really fun and pleasant. Number 2, I talked about this recently, but it's worth it. It's worth mentioning again. Sending out texts to multiple people in a very general way. Yes, they do this to garner attention. They want to see who's going to respond fast enough. Who can I talk to now? Who's more hungry? Who's thirsty for me? That's what they do that for. But they also do it to triangulate. Because when they send out these general text messages, it is to they know that they're going to get into a firestorm of texting with all kind of different people. You don't know that they're doing it, but they're behind your back backwards triangulating you by doing this because you thought it was just you. You got this text that just said hello or guess what or morning or What are you up to? Now, stuff like what are you up to? That's everyone can commonly send stuff like that. None of those things make you a narcissist if you text those. But their texting patterns, you catch on to it. They have a pattern to it. So they sent out, um, guess what? You thought it was just to you. No, no. It went out to about 3, 4, 5, 6, who knows how many people. And so while you are like, yay, I'll tell you what's going on, and here's what I'm doing today. So is Tom, Dick, and Harry. So is everybody else they texted that to. That is a way of triangulating you, and you don't even know that it's occurring unless you really get on to what these people do. So that's kind of an obscure way, but they'll do it that way. This one is funny. The grocery store bandit. Oh, yes. One of their favorite ways to triangulate you. These people always have admirers, don't they? They cannot go to the darn grocery store without having somebody follow them around, trail them. I was just in the flower department and this guy just kept looking at me and he started to follow me around the store. I was up getting coffee. I was waiting to get coffee at the Starbucks at the grocery store, and well, this guy he just kept being interested and he kept asking me questions, and then he just kept showing up wherever I was. Nobody has more secret admirers than the narcissist. Nobody does. And it's amazing that they can be anywhere and get these people. It's the grocery store. It's the auto parts store. They're at the gas station. And oh, what do you know? This guy's making comments and he wants to come over and talk about this. And he wants to ask me about my car. And I was having trouble working, with the nozzle, getting it to work. And he wanted to come and help me. Those are the things that bug you to death when you're in a relationship with these people. Because they're not telling you this the way a normal person would. Like maybe that happened to a normal, healthy person, and they're like, yeah, this guy was bothering me, and I was weirded out, and I just got back in my car. No, they're going to embellish it a little. They're going to play into it a little, just so you know someone was after them. So it doesn't matter. The grocery store bandit, but it's everywhere. They have got somebody, they could go to the moon, and they're going to have an admirer, okay? So moving on. Connected. Stalkers. They love to use stalkers, I put in quotes, to triangulate you. So first of all, does the narcissist have stalkers? Yeah, they do. Some of them are real people. Some of them are people that they make up, and I'll get to that later on. But the narcissist always has stalkers. You'll notice it is, maybe they used to work at a movie rental place, just as an example. And there was this old man that would always come in and just stalk the narcissist, make suggestive comments and things, always bothered her, followed her outside one day after work, that kind of stuff, right? So they can have it there. A neighbor. The neighbors always turn into stalkers for the narcissist, it seems like. And sometimes it's guy or girl. The one that I was with had apparently female stalkers and male stalkers. And then there's the landlord. It's amazing how everywhere they live, their landlord, if they're renting, seems to be overly interested. If it's a guy, girl, especially. If it's a guy landlord and a female tenant. For some reason, man, those narcissist landlords are always interested. And they're stalkers. And they'll show up at their door and do weird things at weird hours. And you get to hear all about it. Of course, there's always a guy or a girl from work, isn't there? There's always some guy or girl bothering them from another department or from the same department or whatever it is. Nobody has more workplace stalkers than the narcissist does. And you're going to hear all about it. And it's going to incite jealousy, and they're going to use it to triangulate the living daylights out of you. And of course, the exes. You always have to mention the exes. How many ex-stalkers does the narcissist have that are still trying to blow up their phone, reach out on social media, make smear campaigns about them, show up at their door, send them things? The narcissist always has ex-stalkers. And so the question is, why do they have these people? Well, it's very simple. The narcissist, especially the female covert narcissist, does nothing but basically go around and just rev people up. The guy at the movie theater, the guy at the movie rental place. Well, he was in there for a reason because she probably gave him the flirty eye. She probably flirted with him a lot and got his hopes up because they like the attention and they like to stir people up. They love the validation of knowing that other people like them and have interest in them, as many as possible. Why does the landlord, why does the person next door, the neighbor, why does the person at work? Because they stir these people up. They're master manipulators and they have that Jezebel charismatic flirtatiousness to them where they bat their eyelashes, they give you a smile, they give you a wink, they give you the flirty eyes, and they get people revved up, and these people think the narcissist has interest in them, or they'll just flat out get into a texting game with them. They'll give them their number, they'll start down that road, and they did it for no other reason than the validation and the attention. They didn't even have to be interested in that person. But that person now has been breadcrumbed to death and thinks the narcissist has interest. So guess what? They're a stalker now. And guess what else? You're going to hear all about their stalker because they know that's going to bother you to no end. Another thing I love, another way they triangulate, they will pull names out of thin air. They will just be talking about a random person and a name will come up and they'll say, Justin was, I used to date a Justin. And you think, you don't say. Or they'll be saying, man, I was reading this Facebook thing and I saw the name Colby. Well, I used to date Colby. Or they might say, Alan. Who would name their child Alan? I'd never date a guy named Alan. Oh, wait, I did. Oh, wait, I did. Or they might say, you're not the first Brian I've dated. You're Brian number 2. You're Brian Jr. And guys, that is as textbook triangulation as you will ever find. Telling the person you're with that you used to date someone with their same name and they must be now Brian number 2 or Jessica number 2 or whatever it is. That is vintage triangulation, if ever there was such a thing. So they're going to pull names out of thin air. And it's going to really send you spinning at times. Because no healthy people don't do this. Even people with some problems don't do this. Only the wicked reprobate narcissist thinks it's funny to pull names out of thin air just for the sole purpose of stirring you up. And that's why they do it. Another way that they do this, going through my list here, the text that was meant for you but doesn't seem like it was. That's a form of triangulation. They might send stuff like, well, I was just wondering, out of nowhere. And you're like, wondering what? Can you elaborate? Because I don't think that's connected to what we were talking about. And if you ask them anything about it, you will either get no answer or you will get, you're being insecure. What are you talking about? Why are you pushing me on this? Or they're going to just make up some reason of something you said 2 days ago or something else that makes no sense at all and give you word salad. But this is a way of them, they do this to make you think that, or to make you wonder, was that supposed to go to me or was that supposed to go to somebody else? They're masters at it. They do that, like I mentioned earlier, through super vague texts or from mystery texts that just leave you scratching your head saying, man, I think that was for me, but was it for me? How many people did it go to? Was it? I don't even know. So that's one of the best ones. The text that was meant for somebody else but went to you, or they were making you think it was meant for somebody else and it went to you. Gotta love it. Here is my personal favorite. This is the last 2 on the list. Here is my personal favorite. And it's really hard to tell. This is the hardest one to pick up on. And in many cases, you never will, other than to just know that they do this, okay? They will make up figures that never existed. So I talked about how they always have stalkers, and they have the grocery store bandit, and people they meet, and they always have these people fawning for them and stalking them. And many times it's real because they're revving these people up, and they're always looking for sources of supply, and they're always looking for people to triangulate you with. But oftentimes, that person they're talking about never even existed to begin with. The guy at the grocery store that followed the narcissist around the entire shopping experience, yeah, he wasn't real. The person at the gas station who wanted to help them pump their gas wasn't real. The person who gave them their number when they were at Walmart never happened. This goes on and on and on. And I don't need to explain why they do this. Because if they don't have a real person at that moment to triangulate you with, it's simple enough to make up infinite scenarios and infinite people just to get under your skin. And that's the problem with the narcissist is when you come to understand their treachery and you're figuring out that they're a narcissist and what it all means, you realize that you never knew anything for sure about what they were doing. You never know who was real, who wasn't real. You never knew how they felt about you in any given moment. You never knew anything about this person. And that might be one of the scariest realizations. When you finally crack the code, is to realize that whole darn thing was a sham. And I don't have a clue, not a clue, what was real and what was not, unless I directly saw it, experienced it, or found it out. Who knows if this person was real? Who knows if Alan was real? Did she date Alan? Who knows if Colby? I don't even know. And that is one of the most toxic things about these people. I got one more for you, and you're going to love this. My longtime viewers, I can say a long time, my channel is not that old, but anyone who's been around from the beginning has probably heard this one, but it bears repeating if you haven't. I know of narcissists, plural. You can't make this up, guys. They will incessantly talk about their deceased exes. They drive people to unalive themselves. I almost said it. They drive people to unalive themselves because their wickedness and treachery. And I just had people drop comments to that effect on my last video, but I've seen it firsthand. And then what they will do is, after they have made sure this person is unalived themselves, they will then use that deceased ex to triangulate the new person. And then the one after that, and the one after that. And there's no depths to what they'll do. They will make up stories about how grand, great, and wonderful the ex was. Now that they're gone, they hated them and smear campaigned them while they were alive. Now that they're gone, they were a hero. Okay? They're a saint now. And man, they were so good to me. Jeff was so good to me. Jeff used to take me here. Jeff used to do this with me. And it's all done to create jealousy and to triangulate the current supply. And like I said, there's no depths to which they won't go. They love to, in fact, visit their ex's grave sites. I have someone in my distant family who her favorite method of triangulation with all of her new sources of supply is to weep and wail and mourn and habitually go to the gravesite of the ex that she made unalive himself. She'll go and she'll weep, she'll bring flowers, and this has been years and years and years of time, guys. This is not like it was recent. And she'll lay on the gravesite, and she'll take a blanket, and she'll sit down, lay down, talk to the person, often even making the current supply drive her to the cemetery while she can do this right in front of him. How does it feel? How does it feel to know the person you're married to is so hung up on their ex that they go and lay on their gravesite? Well, guess what? They're not hung up on their ex. They don't do this stuff because they cared, because they missed them. They're the ones that put them in the ground. They're doing it for one sole purpose and one reason alone, and that is to triangulate you. If that's not sick, if that's not morbid and macabre, I don't know what is. Do you get a glimpse, guys? I know many of you know this. This is a glimpse into the sick and twisted mind of the narcissist who will do anything to triangulate you, anything to manipulate. They'll make up names. They'll use real names. They'll use old events, old exes, deceased exes. They'll string people along just to create stalkers to triangulate you with. Guys, there's nothing they won't do. Triangulation for many is the very worst thing the narcissist does, and I understand why. It's way up there for me. Cheating is, to me, the worst, but if you think about it, triangulation is cheating light, is what it really is. They're bringing someone else into the relationship that doesn't belong. They may not be seeing that person, but they're bringing them in as though there's something there. So triangulation is basically a lighter form to me of cheating. But psychologically, it can play just as bad at games, maybe worse. So, guys, this is some of the weird and macabre ways that the narcissist uses to triangulate their strange patterns. Drop comments below if you can think of other ones that I'm leaving out. So, anyway, this was interesting. I had to really rack my brain, but they started to flow once I thought back on all my experiences. So, guys, I hope you found this enjoyable. It's a little lighter than some of the ones I've had recently, but hopefully still informative. So anyway, thanks for the comments. Again, go back in the last video. Please check those comments out. They were amazing. We just cracked 600 as well for the subscribers. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm so happy that you guys have joined me on this and that it's helping people. So anyway, I will come at you again with another one soon. Until then, God bless.